Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome. Today on the Halcyon Show, we welcome a man often introduced as an up-and-comer, a newcomer, a breakout battler, but dig a little deeper into his history, it reveals an already hardened and talented performer, a battler who has quietly cultivated one of the most exciting and prolific catalogues of performances in the country today, and is fast becoming one of the pillars that exemplifies the resurgence of battle rap as a popular art form. Representing Shark City, currently ranked #1 and undefeated in the Premier Battle Season rankings, his skill and style, he is without a doubt one of the most exciting performers you can see today, and with the number of dream matches still possible for him, it's undisputed that we haven't even seen the best of him yet. Ladies and gentlemen, Black T joins us. Sir.
Incredible. That is the most incredible intro ever.
I try. But not, tell me when I'm telling lies. That's all I always ask. Tell me when I'm telling lies.
Never, nothing. It was all facts. It was historically accurate.
But that's what I want to start with, as we mentioned off camera. How do you feel about that moniker? Like the moniker of the guy on the come up, the newbie, the fresh, the fresh young face of battle rap. When I don't see any evidence to that effect. Yes, you're a younger man, but your history doesn't denote a guy that's just walked in fresh faced and, oh, what's it like in here? Like, you've been around, man. So how do you feel about that?
I've been around since 2019, you know, but I got the COVID tax, like it was you know what I'm saying? Like I started, I was lucky enough to start around like the same year that a lot of the next gen like superstars like like the Georgies, the Viz, the Texted, all these guys that came out around the same time. I was just on a different platform. I had to start, a lot of people have Don't Flop tryouts and the Prem Academy and stuff like that. I wasn't too knowledgeable of UK battle rap before I got into it, so I kind of went through other avenues. I only found battle rap because I knew somebody who, actually I didn't even know him. He said he battled, and I was like, I want to battle you. And he was like, you don't just go through like that. You got to go through leagues and stuff. And then that's when I made it to art of rap. Starting up league at the time, and I didn't really know about Prem. I didn't really know about the Don't Flop tryouts. I didn't really know. I just assumed that where I was starting at, it was where I could dominate. That was just my little place. And I thought that's what it was. But yeah, it was kind of like moving after that. I had my third battle on art of rap, and it was tell her that. Let me go in chronological order.
Go for it, man. Go for it.
Just to make it make sense. But like, at my first battle versus Reckless State Primo, he doesn't battle anymore, but he's best friend of mine. He's fucking sick. I had my first battle against him. It was a 1-rounder, and I did quite well. Then I had my second battle versus Moke, and Moke was like, he was the guy. Like, Moke had this ability, right, where he's able to be the guy wherever he goes. You know what I mean? Like, on art of rap, where he started out, he was the guy. You know what I mean? Like, he was the one that the crowd wanted to see. He was, he was the dude. You move from art of rap. I always feel like, this is kind of a weird analogy, but like, did you like play Pokemon back in the day?
100%. Yes.
Yes. Okay, cool. So you understand it. So, when you like go to the gym before you beat it and it already says Gary or like your rival's already defeated the league?
Yeah.
I've always felt like Moke was my Gary.
Wow, okay. That's an interesting analogy, but no, that makes sense.
Because he was always one step ahead.
Yeah.
Like, because I always, like when I started out, I'm watching the league, I'm like, I see this Moke dude, he's already on art of rap and he's already making a name for himself, and I jump on art of rap and then I do my little thing, then I have my first battle with him, my second battle with him, and this guy rapped for like 25 minutes in a 1-rounder. Like the rounds were 5 minutes. Like it became a whole meme on Twitter like later on in life, but like it was like he just basically just crushed me with just long ass, like it was just bars, bars. So, from that, I went to my third battle where I had like a crazy third. You know, like you have a body bag third, like where it's like, you know, it was like I wasn't really exposing the dude, but I was basically talking about a situation that obviously I know him in it. So it was like a situation with him, and you know, it was just crazy. It was a crazy round. I was talking about like him, like he fucked his best friend. He fucked his best friend's like ex, man, and it was like very close to home because this dude brought me in. You know, the guy that I said I wanted to battle, that was him. Do you know what I mean? And you know, on that day, you know, I got to meet everybody and blah blah blah, and like his friends were close to my friends, so it was kind of like really. It was the first not grudge match, but it was the first like we know each other, we know this is true type battles, and then you know. And that was like 2020. Do you know what I mean? Like that was already deep in the COVID phase. You know, fast forward to era versus era. Like, you know, what year was that? Was that 2021? I think
so. If I have to pull it up, I will pull it up.
Yeah, I think it must have been 2021 because era versus era was like my first big break in understanding how huge this battle rap thing really is, because after that performance that I did on Art of Rap, I got hit up by Snoop, you know what I mean, to come and, you know, battle Caps on.
Yeah, that was still probably my favorite performance of mine to date. I felt like it was a version of me that was that's kind of where I see myself, you know, at the peak of my, you know, abilities, is that performance, but just 10 times more mature or 10 times more seasoned, you know? I feel like on that performance, because I was so ready, I was so prepared, I was so ready, I practiced my material over and over and over and over again. I had it months out. I thought it was crazy. We were pacing around all day. Like if I didn't have customers, pacing down, like you're constantly practicing every day. So when you watch it, it's so fluid, it's so comfortable, it's so natural, it's, you know, perfectly paced, and you know, like I just love that performance, you know, today. And you know, that was kind of the you know, the time, like that was the first real battle rap event that I saw, because after that, you know, after I had my battle, then I got to see this dude named Nobi, and he had a, you know, crazy battle versus Bracy, you know, and you know, I got to see this Bracy dude, like, you know what I mean, and then after that, I got to see I got to see you know, YD versus Templar Surfer, you know, like I see YD for the first time, I see Surfer for the first time. Like Surfer was the first real character that I saw, like where it was like battle rap in, like, you know, in the UK, where he's like, he's got this voice and he's got this, I'm gonna kill you, you know what I mean? And he's got this like performance thing where it was just like, oh shit, like I got like further and further, I was seeing the levels I had to climb with each performance that went on. It was like it got deeper, and like the pool got deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper every single performance that went on. Because after YD and Surfer, it was Yunnan and Crash. I'd never seen Unanimous perform before. I never watched him on YouTube. I never watched him do anything. Like, it was so crazy because I was watching them and I had to stand on the new era side, because era versus era, the vets versus the newcomers. And I'm looking at Yunnan and Crash and I'm like, which side do I stand on? You know, because Yunnan got into this so young that, like, I consider him as a vet was kind of like, I was like watching him and I was just like, whose side do I stand on? Because obviously Yunnan came into this quite young. So considering him a vet, well, I'm looking at this guy, I'm like, nah, he looks quite young. And then this dude, he looks like in his 30s. So I was just stood in the middle, you know, I remember standing in the middle, like, and that's when I got to see Unanimous perform for the first time. And then I was just like, whoa, like, yeah, like, it's gonna take me a couple of years. It got to the point where I was just like, I'm nowhere near this level of talent. Before, like, considering I didn't really know much about battle rap before I came in here, blah, blah. So I came in really confident, you know, which is why the Caps was so beautiful, because it was just like, it was the sense of ignorance was bliss, you know? like ignorance was bliss. I didn't have no pressure. I didn't feel nothing. It was like, I'm just gonna battle this guy that whatever, blah blah blah. I didn't realize the eyes that were on me. I didn't know who was watching. I didn't know much about anything going into that. So that's why the performance is so fluid, it's so natural, because there was just the only time in battle rap that I felt the most light and the most, confident. But then after I saw Yunnan, it was like, so this is like that place, like this is where it gets, where it's like I genuinely felt like I would never be able to beat that. And I've never felt that as a rapper, like as a writer. I've never felt like anybody was ever better than me. You know what I mean? Like I never felt like I couldn't beat anyone. I never felt like I couldn't rap better than anyone. I never, like, that was it was a foreign concept. Like I came, like, before battle rap, I was always rapping on beat. I was in school rapping. When I was in school rapping, I was the guy in school. I was, outside of school, I was going to the ciphers, any cipher I could go to. I was the man in the ciphers amongst my boys. Do you know what I mean? Like, rapping, I'm the guy with them. Do you know what I mean? Everybody knows, if you know me, I have bars. Everybody, that's just always been a thing with me. And I've always been really confident. I've always knew my talent, but like seeing that was the first time in my life where I got to really see. And it was a humbling experience, you know what I mean? It was a very humbling experience. And then, after that, we had Tally versus Tech, the main event. And again, Tally, this dude is, I know Tally because Tally was, when in No Loose Chat, when he first got me involved, he was speaking to me on the phone and educate me on all these things that was going on in battle rap, because, I didn't know. So he was schooling me, and this happened with this, and this happened with this, and this, don't flop with this, and blah, blah, blah. So I felt like, and he's from Tottenham as well. We're from the same area. We're like the two battlers from Tottenham that are really kind of like, on the battle rap sense, really holding it down, because Tottenham is always known for, grime and, drill and Adele and all these things. But in battle rap, we're kind of like, we don't really have those voices except for like me and Tally. Do you get what I'm saying? So when Tally went up, it was like a thing of like, I felt like I was watching a veteran from my ends, like from where I'm from, like somebody that, is like a lineage of where I'm from. Do you get what I'm saying? The way he's talking, the way he's, his slang, the way he's, do you know what I mean? It was like, fam, I just remember leaving that event like this was the most amazing experience of my life. You know what I mean? Like, I'd never, and even standing outside and chatting to the battlers, like, I didn't know anybody, so I remember walking home with Frost and Enigma, and we're just chatting. Like, I didn't even know they battled the day before. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I didn't even know these guys were battlers, but we're just chatting and blah, 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 you know what I mean? Like, wherever, then we go home, and I'm making friends and stuff like that. And then, it's like, I kind of got into this whole culture and I started to learn it. And then after that, I just started downloading all of this information that I'd lost, like all of these battles. I started watching loads of unanimous battles. Me and my boys are all huge, big unanimous fans. You know what I mean? Like, we watched loads of Yunan. We watched loads of, like Tally's performances, Tally on URL and stuff like that. Like, when we found out Tally made it to URL, when he told me he made it to URL, I was like, fuck, that's crazy. Loads of Tally. I watched, like Surfers battles. I watched everything. I was like searching them up, you know what I mean? Then I started watching like Shotty and then Shuffle, and then and I just started like going on Twitter like, yo, who do I need to, do you know what I mean? Like, I need to watch, you know what I mean? Who do I need to watch? Da, 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 da. And then I was like, I'm going through the Kruger rabbit hole, do you know what I mean? And blah, blah, blah. And it was the thing where I was just like, literally, like, I was like going, and then I started going on Ruin Your Day, and I started like really deep and wide. Because for me, when you're so Americanized, it's hard to actually, even as a British person, sometimes it's really hard to make that transition in terms of like rapping, where it's like, for example, O'Shea was somebody that took me a while to get. Do you get what I'm saying? I was like, I didn't understand why people found this dude so crazy.
Really?
Do you know what I mean? I was just like, yeah, because I'm watching them, I'm like, did he write any of this? Do you know what I mean? Like,
he'd probably take that as a compliment.
yeah, no, this is what I'm saying. Like, I'm like, did he write? And he sounded so jumbled and disjointed. I'm like, this guy's got a beer in his hand. It's just like, yo, fucking like, and he does this as well when he's rapping. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, what is going on here? Like, I don't know, when I Ruin Your Day, and I watched some of his, you know, the Ruin Your Day stuff, and then I remember watching Illmac and stuff like that break down why he's dope, and then I started to like understand it, and you know, like when I started watching him back again, I'm like, oh shit, that's crazy, you know. And then like, it was like, yeah, I started to just develop in, you know, who I was as a battler from that day, and you know, from that experience. Like, it was magical. It was magical, I can't lie.
We'll talk about that experience for a second, because of course, again, that moniker of being the younger man coming into it, and especially at this time, man, like, again, with the pandemic notwithstanding, the fact that, you know, Shotty had just, or a couple of months or a year or so within Premier Battles was debuting and kind of picking up traction, then the pandemic hits. But then everyone in battle rap, and I don't know of any other industry or any other genre that really embraced the, well, fuck it, if there's no crowds, let's fucking persevere, because what is something that all battle rappers occasionally do get a little bit annoyed with is the crowd, which is like guys, just let me rap, man, let me rap. We do want you to participate, and god damn it, we want you back one of these days. But for right now, what can we do? Let's do tournaments, let's do crossovers, let's really start exploring the possibilities with some of the younger guys while it's not contingent on crowds. Like, you've demonstrated some aptitude, we'll put you with this guy, get you some rub. So in your experience, because you are, again, I don't use that word lightly, the fact that you are a pillar of this new generation, and someone who in years to come is probably going to be pointed at as, man, you needed to be here then when Black Tea was coming up. How do you feel your evolution... Oh, it's my pleasure. But how do you feel like your evolution has been, given the fact that you've come through what some people will look back on as a difficult time, but may it be a pivotal time for battle rap as a genre within the UK specifically? Like, talk about your evolution. Like, how's it been hard? How's it been easier? Like, what opportunities do you think you might not have gotten if it hadn't been the pandemic, or now that you know, opportunities that you've capitalized because you're such a student? Like, you've just... Man, the way you're rattling off things, it's so apparent that you're such a junkie for this. Like,
100%.
Talk to me about your evolution, like, in your eyes.
My evolution with COVID was very interesting, because I still seem like a very new guy. You know, people still see me, and it's like they think I just came in here last year. You know, like when I started back in 2019, because I didn't make myself that much of a name before COVID. When COVID hit, it was harder for me to get certain battles. Certain people that were making certain names, like for example, like Moke and Roots and Tech and, you know, Slester, you know, Enigma and all these people, you know, they had, you know, the academy that was going through the pandemic phase where there was no audience at all, and they were like in these small, you know, little, you know, places, but I was still on Art of Rap, so it was kind of still hard for me to, you know, get that name up, you know, but everybody else, you know, in that time managed to make a big jump. Do you know what I mean? Whether they were in the tournament, whether they were in the process, like there was two tournaments going on at that time that I wasn't a part of, you know, that I completely skipped both of those, you know, to make it on the Era vs Era card, you know what I mean? So it was like, but though at that time where these guys were making these names in these tournaments, I kind of fell back behind in terms of, like, you know, people understanding who I was. Do you get what I'm saying? So when it comes to Era vs Era, I have the first battle, people are finding, like, this is the first time seeing me, it's my fourth battle. But for everybody else, because they've been through the process, you know, they knew who they were. If it was you know, the academy tournament, you know, coming up to the times of, you know, the final stuff like that, you'd followed these people in their careers, so you knew who they were. Do you know what I'm saying? These, you know, both these tournaments that were going on around the time. So in that sense, a little bit behind, I felt for my development was great, because it gave me a lot more time to figure out what I wanted to do style wise. You know, it gave me a lot more time to, you know, make mistakes, you know, in front of not a lot of people. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it was great. Do you get what I'm saying? It was great, because I've still got that freshness about me. I've still got that newness about me. There's still many battles I still have yet to take, and I started it's about 4 years ago. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's like, now that I'm kind of moving into a stage where I'm, like, for example, like I did the academy. Like I didn't necessarily have to do the academy because I should have been in the academy like 2 years ago. That's when I started, but I even started the academy late. And I didn't even really take that too serious because I felt like, when I started looking at, obviously not to offend anybody, but I just felt like the talent pool, I felt like I could do more. I always felt like I could do more. I always feel like I was, just that more. I had that much more to give. Do you get what I'm saying? And that's no slight on anyone. Just for me, for myself, I always felt like I had so much more to give. Even in that, taking that L and then coming out of that, tournament, and then, trying to learn, angles and. Sorry, what was you gonna say?
All I was gonna ask was, do you think that perhaps because what I've noticed in doing my research for you is that I think you have a slightly different identity in terms of how you're presented, and that's totally to your benefit because, like you've kind of alluded to, you've not.
What really do you mean, like the non-binary shit?
Well, you take that however you.
I'm
want to.
not non-binary, by the way.
No. Hey, listen, we live in an age where you can be whatever you want to be, however you want to be it, and it's all gravy, baby.
I'm not non-binary. Like I feel like a lot of people, they feel like I am non-binary because I had a non-binary bar against Briggsy. You know what I mean? Like I literally had a bar versus Briggsy, and I think it started this thing. No, it wasn't a bar versus Briggsy. It was the 2-on-2 with LS Dean and Grazza when I battled. It was me and Mock versus LS Dean and Grazza when he said, you're non-binary, blah, blah, blah. He said something about it. And I think from there, people started to assume because LS Dean said it, that it's just somehow true. But I never said I was, and I never put. And it's so funny that, like, I always say, like, I find it hilarious because I'm just like, you people all thought I was non-binary. I never once felt to call me they, them. You never respected my pronouns. It's none of you.
Battle rap, baby. If you say it in a battle rap, it's 100% true. We all know this. It doesn't matter if it's something someone made up to go over the W and they later admit it. It doesn't matter. We know the rules of the game, baby. Listen, I won't divulge who it was, but there was an interviewee of mine who pulled the interview at one point because they admitted that, look, I'm still in the game. If I say something on here, it gets used against me, so I can't let you air it because it gets used. Maybe if I'd retired, maybe, but because I haven't, we can't do it. And you go, well, you can't take it that seriously until you're on stage and they've got a whole round dedicated to this one thing. Fuck! But it's better. But what I was talking more about is the fact that, like, I think because there is a close parity with you and No Loose Chat in a way that there isn't with some battlers on the Premier Battles card, which gives you kind of this, not outsider motif, but certainly more of an individualistic motif, which means that you can come in against a guy like Briggsy, for instance, and then come into Premier Battles with all the legitimacy in the world, even though, like, most of them are going to be quite quick to say, well, you're a newbie, or you've not done it, you've not earned the stripes. I don't think anyone's asking that of you. Everyone's just looking at you with pure talent, pure just a fully formed sense of a performer. Like, again, I watch you, and I don't see a performer in the making like that kind of moniker denotes. This idea of the kid on the come-up is like, he's really good at something, but he's got to work at other things. I don't see that. I see a guy who's a fully formed performer who's just smashing battles. Like, of course there's things to improve. But that's what I see. So I guess what I'm asking is, like, that, like you say, that slight delineation from one path down another path that maybe you would have had to go down because of COVID. Do you think that maybe benefited you in that it did give you that identity, or is that something that you've worked hard to cultivate? Like, how do you look at that?
I've always found it weird looking at my performances, because you know what, and I said that means a lot to me. Because I am a full-fledged performer. I started out in drama school. Like, I've been on stage my whole life. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I like, I look, because I don't necessarily have the names and the same trajectory as a lot of people, but I feel like what I'm doing and and the how I'm doing it, I don't feel like many of my peers are, and I've always felt like, which is a fine feeling for me, like I've always felt like that little bit of like, gotta prove myself, gotta prove myself, gotta prove myself, the next performance, gotta prove myself, the next performance, gotta prove myself, the next one. And it's like it's getting there, and I like the slow build. Before it used to frustrate me because I would have like what I would think, like for example, like me versus Messi, for example, and I'm like, I look at that performance and I'm like, this is crazy, like, what I mean, like, what's the? But I'm also learning. This is before I learned about like leagues and stuff like that and how things work with that, and but it's like I'm thinking that the performances that I'm putting on are like top level stuff. Do you get what I'm saying? Like in terms of like, my class and where I'm at. So it's like feeling like I'm still that new dude, like I'm still seen as like, oh, he's got potential, do you know what I mean? Like, he's just catching up, like, he's a little bit more battles and he'll be more seasoned and stuff like that. And it's just like, I don't know, man, I don't feel like
I gotta disagree. I gotta disagree. And if anyone wants to argue with me or you on that point, right, look at the treble battle. Right.
Yes.
Round by
exactly
round, those are 3 distinct and different ways of approaching a battle, and each of them, I would argue, were honed and performed and delivered in a way that you couldn't distinguish it from anybody else who'd been doing it. Show me however long. And I remember, because that first round from Trouble, it was physical, it was loud, it was aggressive. And what do?
Loved it.
I'm just going to diffuse it all and let you know it fucking meant nothing to me. And I'm only just going to pepper you up a little bit for round 2, because you guys don't see what round 2's got yet. Like, that's the hallmark of a polished, well-rounded performer. The kind of guy that doesn't then go, oh man, I have no confidence in what I'm about to do. Like, that's not what you did. You came in like, okay, good, all right, now here's my shit. Like, that's what I'm saying. That's why I would agree with you wholeheartedly. I wouldn't take any issue with anything you just said there. None whatsoever.
Yeah. Because it's also a thing of like, I genuinely, this is like, that's what I love, I love the intensity, I love the back and forth, I love the pushing, the shoving, the in your face, the fucking damn near breath, like I hear it hitting my face. Like, I adore that. Like, that's what battle rap is to me. That's what I've always kind of, I've always had this kind of like this anime kind of view about rapping, where I'm like this main character and I'm going to kill everything and slicing, do you know what I mean? Like, I've always had that kind of like, view of it. But when I'm in those moments is when I truly feel it. Like, I'm having that final battle, I'm having that moment, in my arc and my story, where it's like, that intense back and forth, that fight, that scrap, you know what I mean? Where it's like, it's like, it's I think I'm Wax said it best. Is this, Wax, right? Wax he's got his own, so Wax said it best. He says, like, Black T's special power is that he rises to the challenge. You know what I mean? If you put something in front of me that he thinks he can't take on, he will overcome it. If you put put something there that you say, oh, it's gonna be like, you're probably gonna get a lackluster performance. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, here and there, that's the people's opinions, whatever. But I believe in that. When if you give me something that I'm looking at and it's like, it looks like a high mountain to climb, you're gonna get me like at my strongest, my most toughest, my most, you know what I mean? Like, and I just haven't had the ability to show that yet, that in its true form. Plus, I've made many mistakes, which is really dope. I get to watch all of them, like my last battle that dropped, I was just watching it now. I felt like everything was, I understood where I went wrong in that battle. Watching it back, I felt like it was a lot closer than I thought it was. Do you know what I mean? Especially now when I'm watching the big screen of, you know what I mean, with, you know, the guys and stuff. You know, I'm watching my performance and, you know, the technicalities of it all and what I'm saying versus what he's saying and blah, blah, blah. It's like I can definitely break it down more in the sense of like, okay, I can see this, you know, for what it is. Maybe I didn't take this one, but I'm seeing what I need to improve on and I'm seeing what I did really well. You know what I mean? Which is dope, because when losing is a hard thing to take. So it's hard to look at the things you did well in a battle you lost, you know? So, you know, having to sit and really download all that information and like kind of like, you know, move into how I apply that to my next performance, which would probably be XQZ or probably be a match day battle, you know, is where I can kind of like, I still feel like I got to prove myself. That's all it is. You know what I mean? And, you know.
It's interesting you phrase it that way, because as you've kind of alluded to, the next one that I've got pegged here that I was able to find is the 2nd of September on Undisclosed Territories against XQZ, which we'll talk about in a second. But let me ask you about that. So when it comes to critiquing yourself, especially in a performance art that is entirely predicated on your confidence in yourself, supreme or otherwise, how do you balance the need to sorry, let me get rid of that. Editing trick will take care of that. How do you balance the need to critique yourself against a performance because you need to, versus that confidence that, well, look, I can only take on board so much, because if I take on board too much, I undermine what I am, which is in my own mind. I'm the best. No one can fucking touch me. How do you balance that?
I've always been able to balance it from a young age. I feel like I've always been, and I was having this conversation earlier as well, like I've always been a perfectionist, you know what I mean? But a perfectionist in the sense of I've always been able to look on the outside of me. I don't know if this makes sense, or people will say that I'm chatting shit or whatever, but I've always been able to, you know, judge myself outside of myself. Like, is this actually good? Do you know what I mean? Like, and I've been doing that since I first started rapping. Like, if I wrote something, I was always skeptical of it. You know what I mean? I never wrote things where it was like, I'm just writing and that's the line. It's not. I'm writing it, that's the line. Does this make sense? Is this a way I can push this? Is it where I can do this? Like, do you get what I'm saying? I've always had that kind of like for example, like I used to draw when I was a child, you know what I mean? And when I looked at it, it didn't look the way I wanted. I was cry and scratch it up and tear it up and throw it away, you know, like, and it's a thing of like, you know, there are moments where sometimes, there are moments where I've gone in with my confidence and fell on my face. And there's times where I've gone in with advice and fell on my face. I've been able to kind of like in battle rap, for example, what's helped me a lot is being a part of ABK, for example, like having people like Rivers and Scoop and, you know, Unanimous and Moke and Crow and, you know, all these people, and Giz, you know, all these people, you know, like that have been in the game, you know, for either as long as me or, you know, before me, to kind of like, you know, use as, you know, like I spit around to them, and if it doesn't get what I want, like in terms of like reaction or whatever, like I can kind of be like, all right, cool, maybe I should change this, maybe I change this better, or maybe I can make this better. You know, it's I feel like being a part of a collective has really helped me in my development in terms of like finding out what works and what doesn't. Because what I also had to basically learn as well is leagues and how certain things work on certain leagues, how certain things work versus certain people. Like, for example, the tech battle taught me that a lot. You know, Tech is big in No Lose Chat, a lot bigger than I am in No Lose Chat, you know, and he's coming back after 6 months, you know, and I've got rounds that could probably work really well on Prem, you know what I mean? But I brought them over here and it's like they're not translating as well. These are lessons that I had to that I had to learn, where it was kind of like, you know, understanding Fuck, sorry, just had a brain fart. But like, you know, shit.
like you say,
But,
like understanding an audience, like being able to distinguish, like this is a more hardcore audience. This audience likes
Yeah.
this particular gimmick. This audience
Yeah.
really lost its fucking mind when I did this thing, even though personally I don't like it, but they fucking love
Yeah.
it. So okay, I'll give them a little bit of what they want, because then they give me back by just validating everything else I do.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. It's like, you know, learning that, you know, some things that you've got, you know, you might have to scrap even though you like it, because it might not, you know, affect the attended audience. Do you get what I'm saying? Because what you are looking for,
100%.
yeah, you're looking for that you know, reception. You're looking for that magnetism, that push and pull. Do you get what I'm saying? You're trying to improve the crowd and stuff like that, you know. And the best way to do that is with sacrifice and with confidence and with, you know, all at the same time, you know, and bravery and, you know, and you know, willingness to put down, you know, what you think. For example, you know, a lot of people had, reservations about the second round versus Trumps, where I did the suit, whatever, and blah blah blah. But I'm glad I did it. You know, like I'm glad that I tried something new. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm glad. You know, my thought process into it was, I know Trumps is a very by the book rapper. He's like the he's like the battle raps version of Dwight Schrute. You know what I mean? Like, he's just so by the book. Like, he's so like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, he's so by the rules of like the fundamentals of battle rap through a science. You get what I'm saying? Like he's very much like. Well, you would disagree?
What I'm doing is I interviewed Chubbs, and that makes a lot of sense in retrospect. We had a debate on some things. I've never debated any of my guests before, because my job isn't to debate you on anything. But I had to put it was a question about the fans, and his response I remember kind of looking at and thinking, I still disagree with you. But then in context of by the book, that makes perfect sense, man. No, I completely.
He's
agree
an analyst. He's literally an analyst. He's a battle rap analyst. That's what he does. So going into it, I was like, this guy probably has an idea exactly what I'm gonna do. So I have to completely do something out of the realm of what he would imagine I would do. You know what I mean? Whether it fell flat or not, it was something different. He didn't expect it at all.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it, like, I think it kind of, you know, may have, like, you know, because obviously he choked in the third, like, maybe because, you know, it was just weird, you know what I mean? Or maybe, I don't know, you know, I just like the fact that I did something different and it wasn't something that he expected, you know, and I kind of like derailed, you know, the battle for a little bit, do you get what I'm saying? And then brought it back in the third, you know? Like, I like to do those things. Obviously I know that I can improve of them, because that's the first time I've ever done a concept round. I'm a fan of concept rounds. And, you know, I want to try things, you know what I mean? That's my whole thing in this battle rap. I want to just try things, and if things don't work, cool. I don't mind. Like, I've never minded, like, you know, if you fucking follow me on Twitter, you probably know that I don't mind being wrong. Do you know what I mean? I don't mind, you know, failing. I don't mind, you know, falling on my face or something. Do you know what I mean? I'm just glad that I did it. I'm just glad that I said it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, if I'm proved wrong, cool. Do you know what I mean? If it didn't work, cool. Do you know what I mean? I won't do it again, or I will apologize. You know what I'm saying? I'm never too prideful to understand when, that may not have worked. Do you know what I mean? Like, I look at the second round versus Trubs, and I look back and I'm like, you know what I mean? That might not have worked. You know what I mean? Maybe I could do something a bit, you know, different next time. Do you know what I mean? Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Do you know what I mean? Like, even though I know, like, for example, the whole dick sucking, blah, 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 even though I know, in myself, like, I'm not thinking anything like people are going to really take that and, you know, like, that be like a deep thing, because I don't care. Do you get what I'm saying? But if it makes you feel uncomfortable, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to poke at your uncomfortability. You know what I mean? I'm going for that. You know what I mean? That's what I'm going for. Do you know what I mean? Whether people use it in a battle or not, I don't care. You know what I mean? But I got you guys to go, you know what I mean? And that's what I wanted. You know what I mean? I wanted that cringe moment, you know? I wanted those You know, I like it. You know, it's all performance to me. You know, I like it. You know?
I will say, on the Charlemagne thing, do you know what, man? And again, I hope you don't encounter this as an artist. As an artist, I hope you can express yourself and always feel like you can always recapture a zeitgeist if you ever get one without having to compromise what you do. But and maybe you do feel this. Maybe this is a good place to jump back into. Like, as an artist, like, do you feel a pressure to conform, even in a arena where you are, you know, the name of the game is to stand out. Like, you need to cultivate a persona and a stage presence that is unique in your own. But like, is there a lot of people saying, man, you should be doing this because everyone else is doing it, or you should be doing this because it makes more sense to an audience that, like, just doesn't want to think too much about, like, what they're seeing? You go, well, but no, go. Sorry, shoot.
No, I was gonna say, you mean my dad's? My dad's constantly tells me, like, yo, you need to make some music for the thing, man. You need to, you know, get on that, you know, they did that new stuff, that drill stuff that they're on. You know, you gotta make some music for the ladies. God, like, I'm like, Dad, I don't want to do these things there. Like, you know what I mean? But nah, you need to get your music on radio. You need to, like, you know, I don't know if you would, like, if you talk about battle rap, but like, I've always been heard, like, being an artist of any form. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, because I model as well. Like, being an artist of any form, you're always taught to conform in a certain way, so you can kind of you know, reach a certain point, you know what I mean? But like, that comes from literally my dad tells me that all the time, even though he supports me, do you know what I mean, and wants me to do well. He just wishes that I was like, you know, like one of those guys, you know, and the Afro swing or the whatever, the auto tune or whatever. But like, you know, like I you know, because he just wants me to succeed, you know, because that's success to some people, but you know, not to me, you know what I mean? Like, it's a form of success, but it's not all the success, you know. Like, but I've always, like Kendrick Lamar, for example, is my favorite rapper. He's the person that does it the best, you know, in terms of remaining true to culture and himself and identity and the values of what hip hop is, and, you know, the core values and whilst mixing the commercialism and being able to, I've always been able to kind of, like, from that model, him being my favorite rapper, I've always kind of like not do it, you know, when I want to do it, you know, essentially, you know. But conforming has always been like a conversation, do you know what I mean, as an artist, about like the TikToks and algorithms and you know, trying to, you know what I mean?
That's a good point, because you're probably the first generation that's gonna have to contend with that. Like, it's not enough to then make something that's cohesive in a live environment that then transfers to a internet-based audience on a long format presentation. You've also now got to be bite-sized and soundbite friendly and shareable in a 30-second stint. So is that so? Okay, then let me rephrase the question. Is it helpful when people approach you with that advice to be able to then extrapolate and apply it, or is it a hindrance because you feel as an artist you could find your own way to do that? Like, how do you see that dynamic?
It's both. It's literally both.
Okay.
It's hard to accept as somebody that wants to have their own path and have their own way and do things that they believe that they can, you know. Like, I've always believed in the music and the art first. I've always believed in, you know, talent, you know, getting me to places where I want to be, you know what I mean? Like, but at the same time, I've always appreciated the information that I've gotten from people, even though it's really hard for me to conform to. I appreciate, you know, what people tell me. You get what I'm saying? Like, you know, like it's such like a, when it comes to that stuff, it's like a kid trying to eat the greens. Like, it's good for you. Do you know what I mean? Like, I promise. Like, it's good for you. I'm like, you know, it's like, I don't want to, you know, I can, like, I get it, you know what I mean? It may be good for me, but like I don't like celery. You know what I mean?
But from your perspective, it's also the fact of, look, I'm the artist. Part of your journey is to kind of go on it with me. Like, I'm not here to make it 100% digestible, because part of the art, or at least part of it should be with content consumption, is part of it should challenge you. Part of it should make you feel uncomfortable or test your boundaries of, well, that's not what I'm used to, because that then expands the horizons. That's why fucking people travel the world. Like, the idea isn't to travel the world and go to somewhere that's exactly like Brighton. You go because, everything's a bit different, and that tastes different, and it's weird because they do things differently. My horizons have been expanded. But weirdly, with art, there is this weird, like kind of like you said, there's this. No, you have the celery. You have the peas. You understand why it's better for you to conform to the expectations of your audience. I 100% take that point. 100%.
I've always been I've been a purist. Like as far as artists goes, I've always been I'm like an old man. Do you know what I mean? I still believe in the fade out. You know what I mean? I still believe in the fade out. I still believe in the third verse. You know what I mean? I still believe in, the fundamentals of making music. Like, I listen to some music and I'm like, fam, if you would have just add a fucking another verse there, this song would have been perfect. If you would have just faded this out here, this would have been perfect. Like, why are we not doing this anymore? And it's like, certain things I feel like, because they're lost art forms, if I do them, they're gonna seem to people like they're fucking rocket science. Do you know what I mean? Like, imagine if you knew that you love the beat to just play another minute and then fade it out. Like, what that does to someone, they're on a journey, you know what I mean? And if you've taken, like, I don't know if I'm explaining it right, like, but it's like these ways of.
Linkin Park released a song recently because of their album Meteora turning 20, and it was called Lost. I remember hearing it and thinking, it sounds brilliant, it sounds fantastic, but they ended the song wrong. It had a crescendo to build to. It built to a crescendo and then jumped back into the shallow end. It didn't have that moment where it dissipates and it lets you kind of take in everything you've seen. It was like build, right, peace, bye, and it was done. Whoa, you can't do that to me and fuck off. Like, that's not how that works.
Literally, there are songs that are like 2 minutes 30, and they just, when they end, they just cut.
Done.
And it's like, you've literally taken away such potential for people to like. You know what I mean? From things, but like that's a part of it. There's a part of, like, understanding that certain things are good for you, but certain things need, are great to have as your fundamentals. Do you get what I'm saying? Like you said earlier, when you said music's supposed to make you feel something. Do you know what I mean? Like, art is supposed to make you feel something. Like, that's the way when it comes to, like, battle rap. That's why I make certain decisions that may be a bit weird. Certain people like the Trump second round and saying whatever. Like, I want you to feel that ill. I don't want everything to be, ooh, that's a bar. Do you know what I mean? I want you to laugh. I want you to, you know what I mean? I want you to, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's a bit mad. Do you know what I mean? Like, for example, like my third verse, Tech, I'm insinuating that, Tech and Paris are, in a relationship and all these things. Like, people are kind of like nervous and not sure if they should react and stuff, but that's what I want. Like, I don't want my shit to just be, one way. I don't want to just pow, 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 pow. I want to take people on a journey, like, of emotions, like how I would listen to Puck or how I would listen to Kendrick. Do you know what I mean? Or how I would listen to, my favorite, my favorite artists. Do you know what I mean? They take you, like, through a journey of emotions. And my apex and finding my true, my evolution is just basically learning how to just fine tune that and just make that, just to fine tune that and, get that to a place of perfection. Like how I started the Battle vs. Trubs, you know what I mean? Like, when I think of trouble, I think of my mum, and she's way scarier than you. So just please give it up, you know what I mean? And then it's like, like, you're just going into,
Take the crowd's energy where it how is. I'm gonna scoop it up and just
Yeah.
right now you're right here, and you're gonna stay
Yeah.
here for as long as I. Okay, right now back to you. Like,
Yeah.
Exactly, man. That's again. I come back to that one as an example of a polished performer because I do take your point about the second round being maybe experimental and something people weren't expecting. But then it is that thing of people. I think people will find it harder and harder to pigeonhole you as you go because again, you are quite hard down to pin down in terms of is he this kind of performer, is he that kind of performer?
Yeah.
Because then that's, with all due respect, that's how legacies are formed. As that's Black T. That's what he does. He does this. He does a bit of this and a bit of that, rather than you got to be just like this guy or this guy, and you go right. But then I run the risk of being compared to him unfavorably. Why would I want to do that? Like, like especially in something like Battle Rap, where it's going to get brought up, where it's like, 100. Man, you're just another insert rapper.
Yeah,
Oh shit! Like, there's not really any coming back. Especially like you say, when people make that connection, it's almost impossible to shake that preconception. Craig David was shaking that perception for fucking 20 years, son. So like, it's a real thing. Well, talk about that because. Again, you got the XQZ battle penciled in for September 2nd. So talk to me about again, how you look at your past performances. Like you said, you analyze them, you critique them. You again plan a new zenith. You plan for a new, a new way of approaching what you believe is the apex of your current ability. How do you look at a battle like that? How do you sort of, without obviously spoiling anything that you're writing, but how do you go right? How do you begin to think about it, I guess is the question, rather than like where are you going now or what you've got. Like when you look at that, what's your jump off point?
I had a few thoughts of it. First, the name, because I knew XQZ's name when they gave it to me. I knew who he was beforehand. But I watched his battle versus Bill Collector, but it was at a time that I didn't understand a lot more about battle rap. You know what I'm saying? So then they gave me the name again. I'm like, I couldn't go back to his battles. And I'm like, this guy is insane. This is very exciting. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, the thought process was like, this is the first time I've got someone like really rich. Like, everything that I thought people were gonna do to me, you know what I'm saying? I've always found a way to get past every obstacle. I've always been able to rise to the occasion and go above and 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 do my thing. He's somebody that I'm just like, okay, so now I'm over here, I'm in the big leagues, kind of. Do you know what I mean? It's like, okay, but the big leagues in a sense of like, he doesn't waste a word, like he doesn't waste a word, he doesn't waste an angle, fleshes everything out, very professional, doing this for a long time. Like, I've got a lot of respect for him. Do you get what I'm saying? So thinking about this battle has been really fun. It's been really fun, and it's been really it's like, I'm just really excited to jump a level, like I think I've looked, for example, one thing that caught me from the tech battle was that I realized that I'd gone soft, like battle wise, which is funny because I've never projected this much and never been this aggressive, but lyrically I've gotten very soft. You know what I mean? When I started, I was telling people about how they fucking cheated on, you fucking slept with your best friend's ex, and you know what I mean, you said that this person, you're chatting about this person mixed race, but you had the mixed race baby, and and you're telling cap like, you're good at battle rap bullshit and getting people out of here, like removing people, and then you get all this love. I'm getting all this love from battle rap, and people say, we love Black T, we love him in the scene, look at his reactions, and you start to be like, you start to make it about rap, you know what I mean? You start making it about beating people, and you start to become friends, and all these things, and then it's like, boom, I get beaten now, and it's just like, okay, let me go back to what started this whole thing, and it was taking you out of the equation. You know what I mean? Like, I came in with a purpose to try and kill, you know, not like have great battles and, you know, blah, 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 and classics and stuff like that. I didn't really care about classics. I was trying to kill, you know, to claw my way to where I wanted to be. And I'd realized in my development that I kind of drifted away into about rap. I think the villain battle was where it became about rap for me, because I felt like for that battle, I wasn't trying to get villain out of here. And I just wanted to have a great battle with him. You know what I mean? Like, there was nothing to...
Right. No, do you know what? No, I totally get where you're coming from. Yep.
Yeah.
Totally get where you're coming
like,
from.
It wasn't about, you know, it wasn't about villain, you could have been this and and you've let your leg behind you destroyed it. It's like, nah, I'm just talking about villain concepts. Do you know what I mean? I'm gonna, you know, the villain as like a comic book character, or like the idea of villain and concept wrapping in. Do you get what I'm saying? In the you are your name being what you are, and the many ways to attack the idea of villain. Do you get what I'm saying? And
right. How
that pertains to you. You know, it wasn't too much visceral, it wasn't too much venom, you know, but it did well, and it was like a big battle for me. You know, we're at 4.5k views and blah blah, and I'm thinking, okay, so this must be the model, you know. And then my, you know, past, you know, my battles after that, I'm you know, I'm just rapping, I'm just being, you know, conception, blah blah blah. I'm not really caring about really murdering people. And then, you know, like, I got to a point where that ran its toll. You know, it's you know, it's gotten to a point where, okay, this style might not always be the thing that takes me over. It's reached this point where it's failed, it lost now. Do you know what I mean? How do I take what I've learned from this, and how do I take what I've been doing and, you know, make that, you know, and carve that into something new, you know? And bring XQZ is one of the most, he's the perfect person to try that against, because I'm scared shitless.
But I think it's so telling that you're like One Punch Man finally going, wait, there's someone I can fight? Like,
yeah,
really?
Yeah.
Like, wait, no, isn't it great that you can beat everyone in one punch? Nah, not really.
Yeah.
I'm kind of looking forward to having someone that I can battle with. Like,
Yeah.
when do they get here? Like, well, not for a little while. Ah, like, that's how you look right now. You look like, yeah, there's a challenge. Man,
yeah,
isn't that great?
A super big one, yeah, super big one. And one that, like, you know, I know everybody's gonna be, well, okay, let's see what T does, because everybody knows what Q's gonna do. Do you know what I mean? Or X, you know what I mean? I don't know what he or Z, you know what I mean? Like, everybody knows what X is gonna do, you know, because he's done it for 10 years. You know what I mean? He's fucking sick, but everybody's looking at me and they're like, they see something. I know everybody's seeing something, you know. The villain performance, they're like, that was amazing. It's like, now they see glimmers, and maybe it didn't reach that before, but they see something. It's like, I don't know. I maybe it's the main character syndrome or something like that. But I just feel the eyes, like people like, do something, like, you know, like something, you know. But it's like, you know, I feel like this is the perfect. But I always think that. I always, whenever I think, oh, this is the perfect time, it never goes the way I believe it's gonna go. Do you know what I mean? It's
That's
always
like
the one.
Mice and Men, man. That's the way it goes.
Yeah.
Man, sometimes.
Yeah, but still, like, I'm prepared. You know, like, you know, I'm confident in myself, and I'm confident in my abilities, confident with what I'm preparing, and put in my ideas, you know, and, you know, my you know, like, I'm very confident, you know what I'm saying? Even I'm still very much confident in what I'm up with, and I'm like, this is fucking crazy, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is dope. This is, you know, it's exciting because the more I think about it and I get that little thing in my chest, is like, it just makes me want to, you know, it gets me more deep into thought, and like, ooh, that's a crazy, write it down, you know, like, that's what's been happening, like, and it's been a nice process, actually, you know. It's been great. I'm really excited. I'm really looking forward to what, you know, happens on that day.
Let's talk about that day and beyond, because I think one of the interesting things about you is that I think a lot of the rappers that I've spoken to have had already very long and very distinguished careers, and whether they like to admit it or not, I think most of them would admit that they're starting to look over their shoulder at a career rather than looking forward to a career, because they know that, you know, of the level of competition and the intensity that it takes. Tony's made no secret about it. Every time I speak to him, he's like, man, this next one's, it might be my last. Tried getting a hold of Raptor before he decided to unretire. Like, I remember talking to him like, well, we can talk about your retirement, that's not a problem. And then didn't hear from him because he's back. He's doing more. It's like, okay, dude, I'm not mad at you. Like, I'm happy that you're cracking on. But the point is, like, these guys are constantly carving into what they think is going to be their final legacy. Whereas you, like I said, man, you're still a dream match factory at this point. There's a million people that I'd be like, fuck, no, they're battling? Shit, that is going to be insane. So tell me, like, what your aspirations are within the realm of battle rap. Is it something that you see yourself cultivating a particular path? And if so, what is that path ideally? Like, in your own mind, if you could be the architect of your own success, where would it be and where would it go?
It would be, first of all, it starts in battle rap. It starts with me as a battler. And where I see it going is just being the greatest at it, you know, like being, I want to be something nobody has seen before. The greatest is what I aim for, but I want to also be an enigma, you know, like I've always wanted to be that force. Do you get what I'm saying? And what I've always believed I was, ever since the first time I fucking wrote anything on paper in remotely rhyme, you know, like I want to be able to, like, Rivers is who I look up to the most in battle rap periods. Do you get what I'm saying? I look up to him the most as my mentor. That's, you know, that's my, you know, my brother. Like, do you know what I'm saying? He's like, him and London Jenner, like my battle rap parents. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, you know, for real, like they're like my battle rap parents. Like, but Rivers is somebody that's able to, when he has like an opponent, he's able to reach a level of excellence every single time. Like, his bar is excellence. I want to be able to churn out excellence every single time and make these moments and make these, you know, but that's just in the field, you know. And you know, once I've accomplished that, I want it to be able to be recognized as a performance art that it should be. You know what I mean? I want to be able to bring battle rap to the stages. Do you get what I'm saying? I want to be able to bring it on stage. I want to be able to start making battle rap fucking plays. Like, I want to be able to start, you know, being able to it to be taught in schools. You know what I mean? I want to be able to there to be fucking battle rap therapy. Like, you write something about, you know, someone, do you know what I mean, in the form of it, you fucking turn back to back and just say everything that you want to in rhyme. Do you get what I'm saying? Battle rap poetry, do you get what I'm saying? Like as in a way of therapy and able to get things out about a person. Like, there's so many ideas that I've got for this that I want to, you know, expand it as far as it can go in many, because I think this thing is the way I see it is nothing else like it. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, on earth. And I think, like, I was watching this Loaded Lux interview. Like, the reason why I love Loaded Lux so much as well, he's a really big influence to me, is because when he talks the way I feel I talk about battle rap. He's like, it challenges, like, you'll be like, it challenges everything you feel. Like, all of that, like, that emotion is how I feel. So when I'm watching him, it's like I feel what he's saying. When he's like, it challenges your inner being, everything that you are as a man or woman or they, you know, whoever, non-binary, it challenges everything that you are. You're hearing criticisms about you. Do you get what I'm saying? You're having to, you know, face that, take that, you know, in turns, and then give your point of view. It's like it's, you know, there's so many ways to take that and create it into things that could be, you know, expanded, you know, past what people believe it can only be, two people, barking at each other. Like it could, I can see this on stage, I can see this on TV, I can see this on Broadway. Do you get what I'm saying? Like I really want to try and like, that one, but I believe I can only get to that point through making that impact in the arena first. You know what I mean? I have to make myself credible enough to be able to even make this a thing. And then once I make this a thing, then it, it gets taught in schools and blah, blah, blah. And people learn about, entendres and similes and how to make, because everybody, like, we're in an age right now where being a rapper isn't, the made up fantasy dream that, people thought, it would be when they were coming up with these curriculums or something like that, or maybe it didn't exist when they come with these curriculums. So it's like you got a lot of education that is quite like 20 years 30 years behind. But if you look right now, being a rapper or being somebody is like, there's so many rappers in the world, like in music, or in performance art. I could see it being taught in terms of like performance art and how to bend words in like in like you know what I'm saying, like how to like in like how to bend words, use entendres, how to use similes, and like be able to teach how to rap in a sense of like lyrical devices. Do you know? You get what I'm saying? Like through battle rap.
Totally understand what you're saying as far as that is concerned, because the thing with battle rap is, and again, I'll make this comparison a lot because I think both are underrated as forms of entertainment, because they're both ultimately misconstrued and misunderstood by people who don't understand. Professional wrestling and battle rap are the only two art forms I've ever seen in my entire life that blend legitimacy and the theatricality that comes from performances to try and deliver a performance that always guarantees a hit, as opposed to sporting events. Take boxing, for instance, hard man sport, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but how many boxing matches have you ever been to where you walked away and thought, that was a bit shit? Barely touched each other. And you go, well, yeah, because they both are legitimately afraid of hurting each other, so they're trepidatious. Whereas you go to a professional wrestling match, you see someone get spun 3 times on their fucking head, do it again the next night, and you go, well, it's fake. It's like, well, the risks they take aren't, but they perform it. Battle rappers, on the other hand, again, you get on stage, and even if you want to criticize it by saying, well, they memorized it before they performed it, right? Cool. I'll memorize 30 jokes about your mum, tell them to you in sequence, and you tell me if it gets less embarrassing with every joke I make. Like, I don't understand why you're diminishing an art form that, frankly, takes all the balls in the world, because as you've alluded to, your primary focus is to get on there and not only entertain, but know that your opponent has had days, weeks, sometimes months to agonize over every single word, every single piece of information they can possibly hold, and every battle that you've ever done becomes ammunition against you. Like,
that part.
In what other performance or what other sport is your performances used against? Like, no footballer goes, so Mbappe, yeah, you're really good at football. Turns out we studied you, and now you're shit because we know everything you do. No, you still can't stop him doing what he does. There's nothing else like it. So battle rap has that legitimacy in my eyes. Always has had.
It does, and even like self-awareness being like a huge factor of it being in the sport, like a sport of being self-aware, like counter-writing, knowing, knowing that somebody might pick something out about you is also understanding that this is something about you, and you have to identify it for you to be able to counter-write it. You get what, in a sense? So it's like you're doing some inner digging whilst you're digging dirt on this other person. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's, man, like I just believe that, like, it can really be fleshed out in ways that like people haven't yet. And I think we're in being in the UK, in London, we've got a really good, like, theatre is a lot of culture for a lot of people in London. Do you get what I'm saying? And through doing theatre and through acting, do you know what I mean, I've been able to, like, I understand how I could get there. Do you get one, in terms of like how I could, get it on stage? Do you get what I'm saying? And how, what that looks like. you know, and that's like me, you know, me being in fashion as well, and you know, being a model and bringing those eyes, and like, you know, like how that you can use that and blur those lines essentially. Like, I feel like there are ways that there are things that, you know, because battle rap comes from a very it comes from a very
it's a very sheltered community in many ways. Like, it's not
Yes.
quick to welcome people who don't appreciate it. And in fact, that's
Yeah.
part of what I'd argue made that golden era of battle rap so unique, is because it made it cool. It was like, you can't just come in. No, you can't just come in. Like, you got to pay your dues.
yeah.
Well, you got to at least demonstrate an appreciation. If we make a joke and you laugh, and we all go, nope, like, that's part of it. And that is something that, again, the culture has to reconcile if it ever wants to go like mainstream. And I don't know if it necessarily does, or even if it would be a good thing. But you're right, there is that. There is that definitely to battle rap.
Yeah.
That's where it comes from. Because, again, with all due respect to everybody else and any other, you know, performative art there is, art, you know, whatever, it's kind of hard to fuck up being an artist when you can draw a picture as many times as you like before revealing it. You can practice a rap, get it word perfect, hit the stage, and you go, oh, fuck, what was my line? Oh, shit. Oh, fuck.
And it happens to the best of us.
Happens to every single person. Dude, I record scripts and do stuff every single week, and every single week, despite looking at the fucking words on the page, I'll screw up my words. Like, it happens, man. I don't know what you want from these guys.
And it's a sport where that counts.
100%.
Just to add to the pressure, you know, just to add to the pressure that you're doing a performance that you got to do bang on perfect, or you know what I mean, that the stumbles count, you know, like, it's crazy.
In fact, no, I remember, because you made a point of it with the Briggs battle. You're like, hey, by the way, I did my research, and here's the statistical breakdown of it. I thought that was fucking brutal. You had no right doing that and I like Bison. Good guy. Why'd you do that to him, man?
Because that's what I was on at that time. That was my ethos. Like, my ethos was get them the fuck out of here. You know, like, that was my shit, you know? That was what I was on. That's what I wanted to do. That was my method. That was my goal. That was my, you know, it was like, if you battle after me, it should be a problem. You know what I mean? Like, you get what I'm saying? You know? But, sorry. But, yeah, like, that was, you know, like, I think tech, it really early on was like, your superpower is your niche angles. You pick a specific thing about someone that you've identified, and you know, you bring it to the audience in a way that, you know, everybody's seen it, but like, the way you give it to us is like, you know, it's like we've just seen it now. Do you know what I mean? Like, for example, like, you know, Trub's talking about his teeth, do you know what I mean? These insides, you know, you even smile like a rat. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, okay, I brought it to the forefront now. It's not something that anybody really cared about or even paid attention to. But it's like, now that I've said it, it's just like, oh yeah. You know what I mean? It's just like, and then it's like, when the bar comes, you're like, like, you know, it's like, you know, it's one of those things that I like to do. Do you know what I mean? Just pick on these little things, just, you know, like, but yeah, man.
So, anime, right. I heard Vikings, and I heard...
Yeah. Vinland Saga. Yeah, Vinland. It's a anime about a boy who had to stow away on the murderer's ship, and the murderer let him ride with him. But this kid, you know, this child, you know, said that, you know, he wanted to kill him. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
He said, I'm gonna get revenge on you. You killed my dad. Do you know what I mean? So he was like, well, if you're gonna do that, you have to fend for yourself. You know. So, you know, it was a thing of, they mistreated him, they bullied him, they abused him, blah, blah, blah. And he basically had to just find his own way to live. And his only motivation was killing this man. But this man was kind of like allowing him to stay with him. And he was like, all right, cool. If you do something amazing on the battlefield, you get to challenge me. So he's gone through his whole life killing and murdering and getting stronger and stronger and stronger to challenge him. Always lose. And it was a thing. It's like loads of themes of life and death. Like this, that's like a big theme. It's life and death.
I was gonna say, because that sounded awfully similar to the premise of Afro Samurai back in the day, when the number 1 and the number 2 bandana, and the number 2 bandana belonged to the guy who was training him, so he has to kill him in order to be able to challenge the guy who kills his dad. Like, why is it always about challenging the guy that you love, man? Why is anime so into patricide? I don't get it. Like, why do you hate your parents? I don't understand it. Well, like, again, Dragon Ball Z is the one that everyone has seen if you're into that sort of thing, and that 1,000%. Comes back to it because every time I sent because P Soldier, right? Me and him bond over Dragon Ball Z. It turns out, like, we're both like Dragon Ball Z fucking nerds. So I sent him this clip of Goku. Oh man, shout out to one of the nicest guys, and again got another guy. Just we were talking for like 5 hours, and I only aired 3 of it because 2 of it was just us going like talking about wrestling and shit. But then we got to Dragon Ball Z, and I sent him this clip of Goku in court at a custody hearing because he's explaining like, I am not a bad father. Let me explain to you. The person calling me a bad father is Vegeta, and Vegeta didn't hug his son till he was 9. Fuck Vegeta. Like, it's a fair cop. Like, I'm like watching this, I'm like, he's not lying. Like,
he's not lying. He's not lying. It's because the Japanese have like they believe that when you leave your mother's the Japanese culture is when you leave your mother's embrace or like hold, that's when you're a man. Do you know what I mean? That's why in a lot of anime you will find that their mothers don't exist. Do you know what I'm saying? You always see Goku's dad or Vegeta's dad or Naruto's. Naruto's mom and dad exist, but Luffy's dad. Luffy's mom don't exist, or you'll see like a lot of dad characters, not a lot of mums. Do you get what I'm saying? Because in Japanese culture, it's kind of like leaving your mother's bosom essentially is what makes you a man. You know what I mean? So it's like, you get that tough love.
Okay. Is that why My Hero Academia, the mother is still alive, but the dad is gone because it's infantizing him in effect? Like he's still viewed as a kid because he's
that could be
man.
It. Essentially, that could be it. Do you get what I'm saying? Because and I learned this as well from watching loads of these things. It's kind of like you learn a lot of Japanese culture as well watching these things. It's kind of like certain depending on also which anime that you watch with, because I watch One Piece in it. You know what I mean? I've been watching One Piece.
It's on my to-do list. It's on my to-do list.
Don't ignore the numbers. Ignore the number of episodes. It's not about catching up. It's just about the journey. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Don't worry about catching up. Like, it's not about catching up. Catching up is for the people that want to be in the theories, in watching the YouTubers and, want to get into the discussions and involved in like that. Like, if you want to be in that, you want to have these discussions, these theories, debates and stuff like that, then great. But if you just want to enjoy the story for what it is, just take it easy. Do you know what I mean? Like, and don't even worry about how many, because it's literally just a story that you live with, like there's more and more to grow with. But yeah, I mean, I'm into anime. I love anime. My favorite anime is that time I was reincarnated as a slime. Like, that's the title.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, I'll ask you why. I'll throw mine in just so you know where I come from context. Mine's Samurai Champloo, just because it's a classic. It's and it's one of the most beautifully animated cartoon series I've ever seen, where I just every cell of it, because you mentioned drawing. Again, sucker for I used to doodle a lot. I just watching that, I was like,
I'm a sucker for great animation too.
Well, I know something's great when I want to pause it and I want to draw it.
You froze a little bit.
Oh, sorry. I know something's great when I want to pause it and when I want to draw it. Like, if I go pause, I need to find some fucking okay. Right. That's when I know something's beautiful, man. When I'm like, I have to try and understand how you did that, because that looks fucking mwah. So there are some drawing styles and some illustration styles where I end up following the creator. Like, for example, like I start to like I like Gennady Tartakovsky's style of
drawing. He's the guy that did Dexter's Lab and Samurai Jack and
wow.
Primal.
Yeah.
So now that every time he puts something out, I'm trying to watch it. Do you know what I mean? So I finished Primal and now I'm on this Eternals Unicorn. I think it's called something like the Eternals Unicorn Squad or something like that. But anything that he comes out with, I'm trying to watch. Do you know what I mean? Like, because I'm a big fan of him as an illustrator and stuff like that. Like, I really appreciate art as well. Like, I've got a Tumblr and I love art. I love, reposting art and stuff like that. Like, I'm really into the illustrations and stuff like that.
You sound
definitely.
Really hungry as well, man. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm hearing. Like, you're just hungry for new.
Yeah, I like to fill myself with a lot of like what I think is excellence. You get what I'm saying? And like, right. I really, you know what I mean? Like, I like to indulge in that. Like, for example, Kennedy Tartakovsky, like, I tweeted like, yo, can anybody find me Star Wars, the Clone Wars, 2003 version, the cartoon version, because I couldn't find it anywhere. But because he did it, I wanted to watch it because and plus the way he does his style of cartoon making, the way he does the less is more type of thing, where it's like, have you ever watched Samurai Jack?
I have, yeah. I was big in Cartoon Network. I saw all this stuff when it first aired. So again, you're probably a bit younger than me. I'm 34 this year.
I'm 27. Literally, okay, I'm born 95.
So would you have remembered the classic years of, because Cartoon Network, the classic years for me was 97 and 98.
Yeah, I remember.
Wow.
Like I remember.
All right.
Yeah, I remember. I remember. Like, obviously, I'm a young. I'm like the soul. Like, I've got a youthful soul. I've got a youthful face. Like, it's really hard to gauge my my age and shit like that. But like, I was heavily into the old 90s cartoons and stuff like that. Like, and the like the early like. Bro, fam, like, I think Dave Chappelle had like a quote where he was like, I used to watch so much TV that's how I learned how to tell time. Like, that's me. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, that's how I learned how to tell time. Like, I knew if Johnny Bravo or the Flintstones or Tom and Jerry was on, it must be 5:30. Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
Like that's how much TV I watched. Do you get what I'm saying? And it's like, I was always really into, the illustration, the cartoons and stuff like that. Like, it was, big part of my, and a big part of my personality as well. Like, the way that I am. Do you get what I'm saying? And like,
no, what I'm saying is I never was quite as bad as telling time. I knew when it was time that my parents thought I was going to bed, because the old Cartoon Network would switch off, TNT would kick in, and then WCW Night Show would start, and that's when they're like, "You're in bed, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm in bed." Let's watch some wrestling, dude. Like that's when I knew that my day was about to kick off royally. But that was preceded by, like you said, like Cow and Chicken, Dexter's Lab, Powerpuff Girls, Johnny Bravo, Courage the Cowardly Dog, Ed and Eddie, which all use that, like you say, that sort of, not the same artist, granted, but that less is more animation style, more frantic movement, color schemes that when you take them in isolation don't make sense. But then you go like, but then you see his inspirations come from artistic styles that delivered maximum punch with minimum effort, so they could focus on the thing that mattered, which is the content of the cartoon, which is do they make you laugh? Do they make you feel? Do they weird you out? Like a lot of those Hanna-Barbera crossovers from those late 90s, some of those cartoons were kind of weird. Like, you watch them
they were.
Like Cow and Chicken, get that on air today. I defy you.
But this is the thing. We were so spoiled as a generation. Do you know what I mean? Like, we were so spoiled as a generation because people didn't know what they had. Do you know what I mean? They didn't realize that we had such variety, to offer. Like, if I wanted, slapstick comedy, just that's Ed and Eddie. Do you know what I mean? To just bang, crash, auga, like, that type of comedy. That's all Ed and Eddie. It's something that I had wanted to watch, a cartoon that had heart in it. Like, I watched Recess. Recess had so much heart and like so much like life lessons, and you felt like connected to these characters. And then if you wanted to watch something that was kind of like that had a continuing plot, what I mean, like for me it was like Teen Titans or like the old Batmans, what I mean, Batman, stuff like that. It's like, do you get what I'm saying? It's like every time you come in, it's like a new episode. It's like, yeah, man. Like we was like, they don't even know these days. They don't really know what what we had. You know what I mean? It was like we had a whole treasure trove of like, what I mean? That's of inspiration. You know what I mean? Like, well, dude, it's crazy.
You're talking to a guy. And my mum's talking shit when she tells this story, but I'll tell the story anyway. She reckons my first words as a child.
Yeah.
Before I spoke Pingu. Yeah, sure. But when I stopped talking Pingu, my first words were, "'Tis not for whom the bell tolls for thee." And she swears blind by this because that was on an episode of Batman where the Riddler was doing shit, and I was just watching Batman and I just quoted it. And I'm like,
wow.
Either that's true, and I've got that connection to the original Batman animated series in a way that I will always hold treasure. And again, Kevin Conroy Python really did bum me out. I bought the entire Batman collection and played it as like a memory thing. Or like I was just chatting shit, like just let me enjoy the cartoon without having this existential crisis of, am I a genius but I've underwhelmed my potential? Have I deigned ignored the gods and their gifts? Lord, no. I was just watching a stupid cartoon and I said something that I thought looked cool. Like, fuck, I come from a generation that thought Power Rangers made sense. Watch that shit make sense of that these days. Can't be done. They walk and things explode behind them. How?
It was fire though, like explosions and the kung fu, the flips and stuff like that. It was so like, it was just so much to like, you could just, as a kid, it did so much for your imagination. Like it did so much for your.
It did.
Do you know what I mean?
It also got used to storytelling devices. Like, have you seen? I have to ask just because I don't want to spoil anything for anybody. But you've seen Endgame, right? Thanos and all the rest of that shit.
I haven't. I've gotten tired of the Marvel movies. I can't lie to you, but I don't mind you spoiling it because I don't think I'm going to see anything.
Definitely know this shit's not making to air because people are really fucking tetchy about the whole spoiler fucking shit. But anyway, the point being is Thanos comes in Infinity War and dicks over everybody, right? Smashes everybody, and it's not even close. Like, he's just this unstoppable juggernaut.
Of course,
dude. I was 5 when the Green Ranger came in and dicked over all 5 of the Power Rangers and destroyed the Megazord and sent Zordon away. Like, what are you talking about, Thanos? I saw Tommy dick over everybody 30 years ago and it was off the fucking chain when we saw that shit.
We witnessed that. We witnessed that live, and it was like when Dragon Ball Z used to come on TV. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, things like watching Gohan go Super Saiyan 2 for the first time. Do you get what I'm saying?
My favourite moment in that whole, in all of the sagas. I know Super is a thing now, and it's not technically Z. It's something different, but it's a continuation. But out of every moment, it's not Goku going Super Saiyan. It's Gohan, letting go of his innocence to embrace the power that will save the world. Fucking what a fucking moment, man!
Epic. That was next level shit. And the fact that we could go to school and talk about it, everybody's talking about it. Everybody's like, "Did you see? Do you know what was like that? WWE, like wrestling. We all like that was the most dramatic. Like come to school. Did you see what happened? WrestleMania, Edge, the new WWE champion, like everybody's talking about it, everybody's going crazy. I remember there were moments in wrestling where it was like, they were school topics for about a week, like Lita and Edge, do you know what I mean? Matt Hardy, like the whole Matt Hardy, Lita, Edge, love triangle was like fucking mental. You know, the Rey Mysterio and Randy Orton feud, the Undertaker Randy Orton feud, the Triple H versus Shawn Michaels when they had Degeneration X and he turned on him, the Evolution, World Heavyweight feud, and bro, it was like we were all living it, like at the same time, going to school, like as a part, it was a part of our lives. You get what I'm saying? We had our favorites, we had our debates, we had, like school was so much more imaginative. Do you know what I'm saying? It seemed like it was like magic. Like we literally played recess. Like we had a king. We had, do you know what I mean? People that had their things that we called. Do you get what I'm saying? Like it was so like that. Do you know what I mean? It was just real, man. Like this, and I've always maintained that child at heart. Do you know what I mean? I've always kept that because I hold it near and dear to me. Like it's. I still watch cartoons to this day. Do you get what I'm saying? Like people they see me on my Instagram, like what I'm watching. I'm always watching like the old, Batman Forever and like, watching the old, all these things from start to finish just to like go through them and see if they still hold up, and they all do, and it's like, I love it. Like, it's not that it's cartoons. It's like, this is great animation. It's great storytelling. These are great jokes. These are great. Do you know what I mean?
It's that. It's also the fact that I get a lot of their gimmicks had been done before. Like, there's nothing new under the sun. I understand this. And again, wrestling is classic for that, because you watch wrestling long enough and you see someone come up and you go, hang on, fucking someone did this 20 years ago. Like, this exact person walked on the stage 20 years ago, just under a different name. So you're like, okay. But our generation really was, because I think that 90s period was the last time anyone was really given any real cachet to experiment with some really wild, some wild out ideas. Because look, they had a point. Like Power Rangers and Dragon Ball Z were pitched to kids, but they were hyper violent. Like,
they were
when
action,
you think about it. But the point is that parenting at that point hadn't evolved to a point where parents could have just sat down and say, right, kids, we get it. It looks amazing. But you can't go around punching everybody because there's consequences in the real world. In wrestling, yes, they settle their differences in a ring, and Cactus Jack does walk around with barbed wire taped to a bat, and Triple H has a sledgehammer, and Kane sets people on fire. But we have to explain to you that this is all fictitious and it's all done to elicit responses in you. Enjoy it for what it is. That's it. That's what it would have taken. But because... No, sorry, shoot.
No. What I was just gonna say, like, what I think was dope was that we had genres for the thing, like we had genres for our kiddie cartoons. Do you know what I mean? The same way you're talking about the action when we were watching, the action with Power Rangers. Like, we can identify that that's action, but we watch something like Courage the Cowardly Dog or Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, that's horror. Do you get what I'm saying? Or you're watching something like Powerpuff Girls. It's like Sailor Moon. It's also that's action. You know what I'm saying? It's like we had more of like an idea of what genre was, so we know that like this is this genre and this is this genre and this is this, because we had this, Recess being like a slice of life, cartoon. Do you know what I mean? Or like, SpongeBob being like a punchline comedy. Do you get what I'm saying? Like we had genres and we had understanding of this is this is this, this is this, this is this, this is this, because we had a range. You know what I mean?
Which previous generations didn't have. When you look at the Hanna-Barbera cartoons, like Captain Caveman, Jetsons, Wacky Races, even then going into Looney Tunes, I get that they're all different properties, but you could, and they often did, take characters out of them and put them in each other's, and it didn't really make a difference to the comedy or to the pacing or anything. Whereas you kind of hit the nail on the head. Like Courage the Cowardly Dog is like a precursor to horror for kids. It's meant to be unsettling to them because... there's no reason why kids couldn't be unsettled, so long as you're not showing them something that's graphically violent or gratuitously mature. You can show them, like, I remember the pilot episode like it was yesterday. It's that chicken that takes over the house, strangles all the other chickens, and then lays an egg that then turns the guy into a chicken. That's disturbing as a kid to watch. True, but I watched that pilot 30 times. Like it didn't scar me for life or anything.
Yeah, I love the fact that they were challenging kids as humans and not as these fragile brain things that if you give them too much of this, they're gonna be terrified and it's gonna haunt their dreams and blah blah blah. It's like, no, they're just tiny humans that enjoy things that regular humans do, and that's a range of emotions. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, kids enjoy a range of emotions where they can understand, you know, that, this is something that they enjoy. Do you get what I'm saying? You know, I used to love watching Thriller, and I used to hate watching Thriller. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I used to love it because I used to love the video, but also understand that it's scary. So I'm like, doing, you know what I mean? I like you got the. I don't know why I did that.
No, I feel
I
you.
had the covers, I had the covers, and I'm like doing that because I understand it's horror. It's supposed to make me feel scared, but I like it and I'm enjoying what I'm watching. Do you get what I'm saying?
Two words, brother. Jurassic Park. Tell
Boom.
me any kid that walks into Jurassic Park and says, I love the whole movie, except for that weird little snaky thing that does that in the middle, right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't like watching that bit. Like, come on,
I remember,
it's fine.
Bro, I remember the jump that I got when I watched that for the first time, when he did the, you know what I mean? Bro, I remember that. Like, I literally, like, you brought me back, actually. Like, I remember that feeling in my chest, do you know what I mean? Like, that startledness, but like, the movie's cold. I love it. It was a moment.
But we all felt it. That's the point you're making,
Yeah.
which is there was a point in time where, like, you could like what you'd like, but there were certain things that everyone, you just say it and people get where you're talking about immediately again. And it's weird that, I mean, it's great in a way that we do have this kind of swath of content that's so different and so widespread, and there's not much homogenized content unless you go onto a platform that's just dealing with certain things. That's fine, but in a way it's kind of sad, because then you don't, like we were saying earlier, like, oh, there's this thing on Netflix, have you seen it? I'm like, no. Well, that's not an uncommon response. Whereas back in the day, man, if you said I don't know, fucking pick a movie, like, oh man, have you seen this? Like, there's a whole genre of people that have never seen, like, Star Wars or Rocky or Terminator or something. You go, man, 20 years ago, fucking everyone had seen those movies.
Everyone. And we were all talking about it.
Because it's what you did. Whereas now, like, there's no incentive to sit down and watch Terminator 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Because you've got fucking 15 of them that were made 2 years ago. Like,
exactly.
You know what
It's
I mean?
crazy. It's crazy.
I should probably steer you onto a real question now. I'm really tempted to leave all that in, by the way, because that was fucking insane. I enjoyed that
Was
immensely.
lovely. Yeah, me too.
Let me ask you then, because I think asking you what your legacy is going to be is far too fucking early in the day to ask. Instead, and we've kind of covered where, you know, your evolution is and where you want to go, which, by the way, that's fascinating and opens up a lot of prospects. Instead, let me ask you, what is battle rap to you right now versus what it started out to be? What's your appreciation of it? What's your understanding, or what is it to you as a person, or as a performer, or as an identity method, like as a battler? Like, what is it to you?
It's grown so much from what it initially was. You know, I initially just wanted to come in and, you know, show these guys I'm the best, and, you know, blah, 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 and, you know, just, you know, come in and fuck people up, you know what I mean, and just do my thing, you know, which I still carry that, but it's so much more, you know, like, I've come to really appreciate, respect, and love it, and look at these people in the battle rap sphere, the veterans, and look at them as practitioners, and look at them as you know, in like the best writers in the world. Do you know what I mean? And some of these people I'm blessed to be able to call my friend. Do you know what I mean? And like, I have an immense love and appreciation and respect for a lot of people. Like, for example, Tony D, like, like, again, I still have that, like, I'm a kid at heart. Do you know what I mean? I still have that, like, I was always taught to respect my elders, and I was always taught to respect the people that paved the way for me. Or, I was always taught, when you're in a room full of adults, you know what I mean, listen and speak only when spoken to. Do you know what I mean? Like, when it comes to battle rap, I've got such an immense respect for, these people, these veterans, these legends that have been doing it for 10 plus, 20 plus years, that I kind of like, I see them like an artist may see, someone like a, Jean-Michel, you know what I mean, Basquiat, or like a, where people kind of like see, like Tony, people like Tony, people like Shotty, when I look at them, I'm like, or when they talk to me, the weight of their words are so much heavier than, than somebody else's. Like, it's like I can feel it, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I'm not just looking at these people as like, oh, these guys are just dope battlers, you know what I mean, blah, 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 these guys I used to watch Don't Flop, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I'm listening to these people when they're saying certain things to me, and I'm like feeling the gravity of their words because of the respect and admiration I have for these people. Do you get what I'm saying? And like, the fact that, there are times where sometimes like I have to stop myself from like, maybe, like, I feel if I didn't have shame, I'll be sending Tony all my shit. Just be like, what do you think? 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 What do I think? Like, you know what I mean? Like, please just tell me something. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like these people, like, I respect them so much, like, to the point where it may seem corny to certain people. Do you get what I'm saying? But I don't care. Do you know what I mean? Because this is the way these men are supposed to be seen. Like, I feel like I talk shit in the battle rap sense because I understand battle rap language. When I say, yo, Tony, I'm gonna fuck you, I'm gonna smoke you up one day, we're talking battle rap. Do you get what I'm saying? That's the language. And because I respect him, I wouldn't say anything less, because we're both warriors. Do you get what I'm saying? This is how warriors talk. Do you get what I'm saying? So I show my respect to you by saying I want to kill you. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I want to get in the room with you. I want to like, and Tony's like, I'll fucking kill you. We don't even know you want to. And that's the, that's the that warrior, like, do you know what I mean? There's like two fucking, Vikings punching each other in the face and hugging each other, like, you know what I mean? Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of what I see these men like. I kind of like, I just want, like, I consider myself, like, again, like, I'm a big oldie when it comes to, a big purist when it comes to hip hop. Do you know what I mean? And battle rap and rapping. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I'm really, really, really much of the fundamentals and the art form, and I take it as serious as, these men took it back in the day. Because back then, like, back in the 90s, like, hip hop was like religion. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, like, there was certain, like, for example, like Wu-Tang and stuff like that. There was like religious aspects into what Wu-Tang were doing in terms of like 5% of the nation and stuff like that. They were throwing these hints and stuff that of like, or like, Islam and stuff like that. Like, it was like very religious. Like, hip hop was like a religious thing. Like, if you couldn't be the same, if you were the same as somebody else, it was like you get ran out so quick. Like, if you didn't respect certain people, if you chat shit about certain people, like, you wouldn't be allowed to even be in this cipher. Like, I saw a tweet like maybe last year that was like, people in 2000, if you're still listening to Tupac in 2020 or 2021, you're doing it for something dumb. Do you know what I mean? It was like, you're only doing it to look cool or something like that. And I'm just like, you people don't realize what happens when you start to make something like someone like bastardizing someone like a Park Do you know what I mean? Or like, 'cause what I hate right now is that we're in a place right now where like nothing is sacred. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know,
AI, nothing is. Yeah, you're right.
you get what I'm saying? It's like I still believe in hip hop as like a sacred art form. Do you get what I'm saying? By you know, by a chosen few, but you know what I mean? Like a select few that can really, do this at the level that is supposed to be done. And I believe that, like, when people start to bastardize someone like maybe like a Tupac, right? What you've done now is like, to a tweet like that, make it like like 10 of thousands of retweets, right? And then because that gets a lot of traction, people start to think, oh, a lot of people agree with this must be right. Do you get what I'm saying? Then they start to fall into this idea that, maybe his Tupac was kind of corny and, what I mean,
That's how narratives get started. 100%.
Yeah, and then you got a bunch of generations that think Tupac ain't cool, and then it's like, but now what you've done is like all these interviews like that he's done where he's dropping like information
you start to see it now. Actually, you're right, by the way, because a lot of people, I'm starting to see it, a lot of it's people like, actually he wasn't actually that good of a rapper. I don't know why people give him this legendary status, because actually if you look at it lyrically, he didn't have it. Plus if you look at his background, he actually came from a reasonably privileged background considering the circle. And you go, hang on, literally, are you trying to take away what he did at the time? Because I've got news for you. You can't rewrite what actually happened in history. You can recontextualize it as much as you like, but why are you diminishing the man after he had his moment and had the impact he had? Like, why would you want to take that away?
Yeah, and I feel like you lose a lot of this information that he left for an entire generation. Like he's somebody that would, would talk in interviews and say a lot of things that were like,
his MTV interview is so famous for that.
It's you get what I'm saying? It's so powerful and it's so enlightening and it changed a lot of people's lives. But it's like now you got a generation of people being like, he wasn't even from the West. He ain't even He just rapped enemy with frenemies or blah 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 and And you got all these people that are like doing that. We're like, yeah. And then you lose a whole bunch of people that now you made him corny. Now you made him He's not cool anymore. You've taken, and we only do that to hip hop. Do you get what I'm saying? Like you don't see people, talking shit on fucking Da Vinci and, saying that, well, he was a fucking blah, blah, or talking shit on fucking Jean-Michel Basquiat saying, oh, he was just a heroin addict. Do you know what I mean? Like, if he didn't too much heroin, you know what I'm saying? They would do like, it's like people won't do that to certain people because they feel like certain people are too, like, they're, prestige. Do you know what I mean? Like like more people will be more inclined to get a Grammy award than a BET award, but a Grammy award, the Grammys don't even respect black talent. But the BET award, BET awards is maybe a wrong, because there is whatever with that. But like, let's say like a Soul Train award. Do you get what I'm saying? We might not see the Soul Train awards as that prestigious, but we might see the Grammy awards as that prestigious. But the Grammy awards don't respect black talent, but the Soul Train awards is black talent. Do you get what I'm saying? And it's like, it's like you need to kind of like, we're in an age right now where we're kind of being led in ways where it's like we are just lost right now. Do you know what I mean? Like our identity is like all over the place. We don't know what's going on and we don't know who to listen to. And, when somebody says something profound, they immediately say something that's willing to get them fucking, cancelled or removed, or do you get what I'm saying? So, do you get what I'm saying? Like, imagine Tupac was around in this age, but every profound thing he said, he would have said something that would have gotten cancelled on fucking Twitter. Do you get what I'm saying? But at one point, you realize that people are human. People are, are not absolved of blame, of course, but they are also not perfect beings. You get what I'm saying? And people can't be held to a higher standard because they can fucking play a guitar, amazing. They're still a fucking human being. Do you get what I'm saying?
In my discussion with Tony D, it basically boiled down to what do? We hope the next generation develops a knowledge and a skepticism that this current generation and my generation, your generation, didn't have, because we had skepticism, but we didn't have knowledge, because the internet wasn't really a thing, and we were still kind of off that generation in the 80s that didn't really cover education. And then you come into this generation, which has an utter abundance of knowledge, more knowledge than you could ever possibly hope to process, but an underdeveloped sense of skepticism where everybody tends to gravitate towards a truth that resonates with them. And that's fine, except for, like art, if your truth doesn't grate on you a little bit, I can't take your truth, because there are things about my life, and I'm sure your life, that are uncomfortable to reconcile, because they make us hypocrites, they make us bad people in the eyes of other people. It's only when you can kind of go, you're right, as opposed to, yeah, but what about him, what about this thing, what about this thing that I found? You go, no, what about you? Let's focus on you for a second. Like, there's nothing wrong with being flawed. Again, I feel like in a generation that said, you know, body positivity, embrace who you are, it never had to go past, hey, man, we all have problems. Like, that's okay. And you might spend your whole life trying to fix them. That's okay.
Don't you find it crazy that we're in an era right now, we're in a time right now where the whole push is for understanding and accepting of others, while simultaneously being the most judgmental time in the fucking history of fucking society, bro. Not say history, but like we're in a place right now where we're like pushing and pulling so heavy. Do you know what I mean? And it's like the same, and it's like the same people in the same groups, whether you're left, right, whatever. Do you know what I mean? You've got both people in both factions pulling and tugging against each other, and pulling and tugging against the other side too, just bare pulling and tugging. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, nobody
testify now.
I was just basically saying that we're in a place where, you know, it started out quite cool, where we were kind of like, okay, understanding these people, you know, understand these people exist. Do you know what I mean? This is what you call these people. Do you know what I mean? This is how you identify these people. This is, you know, this is who these people are. Do you get what I'm saying? And then it turned into an idea of like, you know, people, you know, rejecting that idea. It was like, well, how can you know, if I'm looking at something and something is telling me this, and then you're telling me something else, how am I, you know, supposed to, you know, think, you know, blah, blah, blah. But then now we're like pushing that thought down and kind of just, you know, being like, you know what, you're not important, but, you know, everybody has their right to say something that they genuinely feel like obviously with it being in the realm of respect. Like I believe that the more conversations that we have, do you know what I mean, the better we can come to an understanding. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, you can't kind of like I feel like people deserve grace. Do you get what I'm saying? All people, do you know what I mean? Like, if you're like, I don't believe bigots deserve, you know, grace, because I think they're that for a reason and they don't want to be anything else. But, you know, if we're in a time where it's so confusing for everyone. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, there are times where, like, for example, my best friend, they're non-binary. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when they were and understanding that was difficult for me. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, in the early stages, not that I didn't understand that they were non-binary, is that I kept misgendering them, because my whole life I refer to them as, you know, the gender they were assigned to at birth. Do you get what I'm saying? And that was something that I had to learn, and through grace, obviously, but through my best friend giving me that grace, I was able to get to that point of like, okay, cool, now we're here. Thank you for, you know, not fucking shouting at me every time I fucked up. Do you know what I mean? Like, I appreciate you for that. Do you know what I'm saying? But that's what we need right now. That's not we're not giving each other on both sides. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, and it's mad.
I take your point, and I acknowledge it to a degree. I'm not comfortable acknowledging it, because again, our Twitter interaction, the reason I perked up is because part of me doesn't want to believe what you said, I guess. But I'll share with you an interaction I had with someone quite close to me. It was just a very liberal debate about just the general state of the United Kingdom, and this person went on a xenophobic rant, which I had never heard before. And when I tried to present an argument of saying, "Can I ask you a question? Do you really think immigrants have any power in this equation that you are annoyed about?" No? Well then, why would they be the ones that you direct your ire at when they are not the ones who are in any position to change their situation?
Right.
Well, they still shouldn't be coming over here. Well, we can debate that point, but the point you're making is that they're responsible for there being no jobs, or the jobs that are here are rubbish, and the neighbourhood's going downhill, and all the rest of this sort of stuff. I'd go, even if I agree with your premise, which I don't, why would you not target people who are making the decision that leads to that outcome? Because you could get rid of that batch of asylum seekers. You could put them on a boat and ship them back to wherever they came from if you wanted to. That doesn't stop them wanting to escape where they escaped from. It doesn't stop anyone else wanting to escape from where they're escaping from to somewhere that they view as being helming a better life. You can't say that you wouldn't understand that if your life was so terrible that you wanted to escape your country. Notwithstanding all of that, why wouldn't you look at the mechanisms of power? And the reason I took issue with what you said was only so much as I don't like peddling that idea that everyone has the capacity in them, because I think once you open the door, it's almost monkey see, monkey do with a generation of people at the moment. They see something and they go, "Oh, so I can do that. Cool." As opposed to what used to happen, and this, by the way, this again, there's flaws with all of this stuff. It used to get used for the wrong reasons too. It used to oppress people, but there was a generation of people that used to shame people. You know, if you did something that wasn't considered socially acceptable, you'd be shamed for it. Now, of course, that led to a lot of bad shit. Marriages staying together that shouldn't have been. Prejudices being reinforced for generations to the point where, like, I watched Peter Kay the other day, and one of the jokes is that there's a black lady and a white lady go on stage and they sing "My Family," but I've got my stepsister with me. That's the joke. And you go, so that was a generation of people that thought that was funny. Okay. Interesting take on that, but that was the generation. We now grow up to the point where we go, dude, like I've got a Polish cousin, a half mixed race nephew, this, that, the other. It's not uncommon to the point where that joke actually makes no contextual sense anymore. But it's not. But the reason I raised all this, sorry, I'm going on a bit of a tirade, and I apologise. There was a young man in my office, and I asked him recently, I said, how do you feel right now? And he goes, why do you ask? And I said, well, because of my, the person's tirade, that usually belies a wider problem, because she is only willing to express that opinion within the confines of a very secure environment. That always worries me, because that usually means that there's a bunch of other people that are just not expressing an opinion that they hold, even though it's widely against the consensus. And I've always believed, man, the only way to kill a bad idea is by airing it, confronting it, and presenting a better one. That's the only way you kill the shit. If you just shout it down, it goes underground. And then good luck catching it. And then you grow up with people who behind the scenes go, diversity, and we all love each other, except for the Irish. Wait, whoa, what? Oh, I'm just kidding. So I can't express that opinion to you. I'll make a mental note of that. And you go, oh, shit, man.
That's exactly what it is. And it's like, when that happens, it's like, it's, I don't know, man. I just think that people are reverting. Like, I feel like nowadays people are like reverting back to like, because you know how like nowadays things are like, with people understanding, gender and sexuality and all these things, and we're also in an age of femininity. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of woman power going on right now, and I think scratch what I was saying, because we was talking about my tweet.
We were, but we can dive back into that. That's fine. You can finish
Yeah.
your thought. I mean, I went on a fucking 5-minute tirade. You are welcome to expand on a thought here. You are fine.
Yeah. No, I was basically just gonna talk about like how we basically kind of like we're kind of reverting, like in terms of like going back to like our kind of primal, ways of thinking in terms of, like for example, because there's a lot of, femininity, and there's a lot of woman energy going on right now. Like for example, like the women, killing hip hop, and not killing hip hop, but I mean like they're actually killing it. Like they're on the charts, they're blowing up, they're fucking superstars. Yeah, like literally they're slaying it. Like, you know what I mean? They're doing their thing. Like the women are kind of running that. The women are kind of running. There's a lot of like women stars in sports. You get what I'm saying? Like, that the one that does gymnastics, like Simone Biles, and like the other begins with G, Gabrielle, something like that, or something like. Anyway, there's a lot of women like in a lot of areas of entertainment and sport and fashion, and that are really making names for themselves. But what is done now is in my opinion, has like the energy of that has kind of made men feel intimidated to where an Andrew Tate can exist. Do you get what I'm saying? So where it's like, an Andrew Tate can come and say like, as a man, don't feel ashamed of being a man. They want you to feel ashamed of being an alpha. They want you to be ashamed of being of being these things. These people are trying to control your masculinity, and they're trying to make you be okay with being being a all these things. And then you got men like, you know what? Yeah, you know what? Fuck these women. I'm gonna make a podcast. Do you know what I mean? Like, just going like, you know what I'm saying? Like, do you get what I'm saying? It's like, I need my opinion to be heard. Literally.
Like, that's the logical process. Do you know what? Fuck women, man. Yeah, let's all go on a podcast.
Yeah, let me get my men together and talk about this shit, because they're trying to stop us being the masculine men that we need to be. We need to get our voices heard. We need to talk about. So then they go on they create these spaces of pure misogyny, and bring these women on to be misogynistic, and right now we're in this fucking epidemic where these podcasts are like, it's like fucking corona. These podcasts are just popping up everywhere and infecting everyone, and it's making a class of like, it's like bringing us back to like the old age of like men feeling like it's okay to hit women. Do you know what I mean? Or like men feeling like it's okay to, that there's more important than women, or all these types of shit. Do you get what I'm saying?
I think there's a minority. That's still a minority. I don't worry about that spilling into the mainstream, because I think, but I do take the point. But what I would say to that is, again, skepticism is hard work, man. Skepticism is hard. Skepticism, it means that you approach everything with a degree of, well, I've got an open mind, but I still require something. You still have to have a standard, and you still have to have the ability to be able to discern something for yourself. Do you ever listen to TalkSport?
Yeah.
How many times?
No, I don't know what TalkSport is.
I know TalkSport. Okay, so TalkSport is a call-in radio-based radio station, and they often have very.
Like, who's the presenter?
They have a bunch of shows. So probably the most polarizing is Simon Jordan and Jim White.
Okay.
And they often present things in a very polarizing way. In like, I'm going to argue this point, and I'm going to have someone on that's going to go, "You're stupid. How could you say such a thing?" And then what you'll see people parrot that opinion. And I'm always like, can I ask you a question? Is this your opinion, or is this just something digestible you picked up and you're now regurgitating? Like, I don't want to hear what you heard. Tell me what you think.
I don't think anybody has their own opinions anymore. Like I think everything is pretty much a hive mentality. Like for example, like I'll never get. I don't care. Like for me, I'm just glad that I don't care about being like I don't fall into the like the if everybody believes is one thing. If I genuinely don't believe it, I don't believe it. I remember this was one of the days like I've fully understood that it's like a high mentality thing, and I don't care what people think about this shit. But I remember waking up on my best friend's floor, right, and going on Twitter, right, and my timeline is blowing up. I'm looking at fucking Will Smith smack Chris Rock on stage.
Yeah.
And I'm watching. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with Will Smith? Why the fuck did he just walk on stage and smack Chris Rock on stage? What the fuck is this? What's wrong with my man? Do you know what I mean? Like, I go to tweet and I'm like, yo, Will Smith just done the most pussy shit I've ever seen in my life. I get a barrage of like, no, but Chris, you know, he said the thing, blah, 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 and he disrespected a black woman's hair and blah, 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 and I'm like, you guys thought it was okay for a man to go on live TV, to walk on stage, smack another man and scream out swear words. Like, this is not even Will Smith. Is he okay mentally? Like, we're not asking the right questions. I'm all here like seeming like this like, because I couldn't believe the overwhelming support for Will Smith going on stage and smacking the hell out of this guy on stage. And for me, I can't ever see that as something that was cool. Do you know what I mean?
But that's symptomatic of a wider problem, though, my friend. That's what I was saying to you earlier, that skepticism is critical from you, because you said it. It's actually the toxicity on both sides cancels each other out. So it doesn't matter what rhetoric is being peddled. The rhetoric is always going to be balanced by the two loudest voices on either side dominating the argument, as opposed to the moderate argument in the middle that says, well, listen, Chris Rock, his job is to make jokes. His job is to make people feel generally uncomfortable. Yes, maybe Jada Pinkett Smith didn't think it was all that funny and she would have preferred he not write it. Okay, that's something to be made and that's something you could debate. It doesn't take away from the idea that we now tacitly approve someone walks on stage in a live performance and assaults someone because they don't like what they heard. Because you have to remember that sets an extremely dangerous precedent, because now you're saying that it's okay to hit. Are we now? Okay, is that the line, or is that just now an example? If he happened to have a fucking glass in his hand, or a bat, or something he could have injured him with, is that the line? And but that's the point, is that both sides then cancel each other out in terms of their rationale. So we kind of all just shrug it off and go, well, it happened. Rather than 20 years ago, and again, this is not right or wrong. The argument of rationalizing his behavior wouldn't have existed, because that empathy, that philosophy of, well, why? That's something to this generation's credit. They want to understand the why more than they ever have. The problem is that we're sometimes more interested in understanding the why than punishing the what when something bad happens, or getting to the nub of a what so that it doesn't happen again. And that's fine, except for then this generation isn't the one that's going to pay for it. It's the generation after that has and again, actually, no, you're starting to see it. Is it Mitzi or Mizzy, the kid that was on? Right. I don't know how wants to go after him. Again, I ask you, do you really think he's the problem, or is he symptomatic of a psychology or a way of thinking that has bred someone like him? If you want to get rid of him, cool. Someone replaces him. Someone sees what happened to him and goes, I'll do it.
He was born in like 2005. He said he spent his whole life on social media. And
what's it bred him to think? That it's anything is acceptable so long as it gets views and likes. It doesn't matter. Why are you punishing him when that's the thought process you have reinforced? He is in every facet, right? He is a victim of circumstance and of rhetoric. And he has not been taught skepticism. He has not been taught anything in terms of artistic content. He has been taught relentlessly that is acceptable, and that the media stream that will, and he's not stupid. He knows this was going to happen.
100%.
Because he's seen enough people that get in trouble, then do the rounds of media, except for he's of a generation that is going to go on the rounds of media and say exactly the opposite of what they would have done historically. Historically, I'm really sorry, I didn't mean it, it was out of context. Now, he'll go on and go, meant every word. Glad it offended you.
Yeah.
Watch my next video.
Right.
There's that, and you want to go after him? Do you really get rid of him and you solve all your problems? How naive are you?
You'll create a martyr. Like, you'll literally create a martyr, like, of other people, and that other people will, you know, it will be the Free Mizzy movement. Do you get what I'm saying? It'll be even bigger than you even initially even conceived. Do you get what I'm saying? Because you're not deep, and you're not attacking the root of the problem. You're attacking the cause of, like, you're attacking a direct, like,
I'd argue you're attacking a casualty. He's not even. Again, a symptom is probably a kind way of saying it. I would say, listen, man, you've brought that kid up on that. There was a generation of people that said everything that came before him was fine. Why are you surprised that he's doing something that extends it? Every generation extends an art form or a genre or pushes boundaries. It's what they're designed to do, and God bless them for it. I'd be surprised if he was. I'd be surprised if he was the influencer that comes on and starts making videos about cats playing keyboards. Like, that would make sense.
He just needs to, because I've got such weird feelings about him. Do you know what I mean? Because I have empathy, and because
you object to what he did. That's why your moral compass objects to what he does, but you've got that part of you that wants to understand and empathize, and that's 100%. That's the human side of you. That's the part. That's the part that we all have to reconcile. Is that we all have those two things.
Yeah, he's a child. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's young. You know what I'm saying? He needs guidance. Do you know what I'm saying? But, like, he is definitely what you said. He's a product of everything that we've been taught to do. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, currency. This is currency. Views, engagements is currency. Views, engagements is like, you're just force feeding you that idea. Views. Attention.
I'll go one further, just to throw this in there for context, and then I will really genuinely shut the fuck up, everybody. You'll be glad to hear. You want to say he's dangerous? I'll put him up against the hundreds of thousands of middle-aged to older-aged people who share everything without checking it. Every conspiracy theory, every fucking half-baked, half-assed fucking theory about some bollocks that they've always half-suspected, and some twat on YouTube makes one fucking video about with no research and just says, trust me, as their validation. And I'll put him, that young man, up against that, and I will ask you, do you really think he's done more damage to the social fabric than that has? Please.
Like, do you know how many people, like, I never thought I'd grow up and meet a Black Earther. You know what I mean?
It's a trip when you do, though, right?
It's so crazy. I genuinely didn't believe I'd meet a Black Earther. I never thought I'd meet the royalties and lizards people. I never thought I'd meet the like, there's a bunch of conspiracy. Sorry, what was you gonna say?
I was gonna ask, have you ever met the people who genuinely believe that the NWO from WCW was a precursor to a New World Order movement that they were just using? It was that. Plus, it was the idea that the Antichrist was going to be a character in WWE because Triple H called himself the King of Kings, which is what Jesus called himself. So it was like and I'm like, dude, it's fucking professional wrestling.
Right,
I think you're giving it a bit too much credit.
Too much Hey, like I'm telling you, like this is what I'm saying. Like I've never thought in my entire world that I'd be meeting people that have these, or like the global warming doesn't exist. People, do you get what I'm saying? Like I've met a bunch of these people, and these people, you know, are intelligent people. These people are like fucking regular citizens, and you wouldn't even believe. Do you know what I mean? They go to fucking do regular shit. Do you know what I mean? Working regular jobs. Do you know what I mean? But they're flat earthers, and it's just like I like. I feel I've never assumed that we would ever have that, but it's like, but now it's like, because everything's so, you know, because of the spread of misinformation and the spread of you got people like Mizzy, that Mizzy kid is like, you know, he's making people outraged, but these people that are spreading these misinformation are changing people's thoughts and views. Do you know what I'm saying? And they're putting it into the real world. Oh shit, I'm on 10%.
That's all good. That's all good. That's all good. That's all good. Well, no, we can wrap in a minute anyway, because I was supposed to ask you one question. That was half an hour ago.
That's calm. Let's go. What's the question?
So, that was an interesting conversation. Again, it'd be fascinating to see how much of that makes it in. So yeah, the final question was going to be basically, you know, what's the plan now for the next sort of 6 months to a year? I mean, obviously you've got at least one penciled in. Like, how do you chart the next sort of 6 to 12 months? And like, what do you want people to be aware of that you're going to be pushing for in that time?
Okay, so I've got this great period of downtime until I think the match day is in October. Our match day or something like that. It's in October. And XQZ battles in September. So I've got I'm working on. I'm going. Did you ask like in battle rap or in general means?
Hey, man, if there's other stuff that extends outside of battle rap, by all means, man.
Okay, cool. So obviously, battle rap. I mean, album. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna be working on an album. I'm gonna be working on music, and then, you know, like the way this year's looking is like, I've got 2 chances in my head. You know what I mean? I've got 2 chances to do magic. You know, I've got 2 chances. I see, you know, the XQZ battle as one of them, and, you know, the match day battle as one of them. I've got a really interesting situation. I don't know if I want to say. You know, I'm gonna say it anyway because I don't care. Wherever. They're trying to get me to battle someone for the match days that I don't want to battle. But if I battle them, it's not gonna be pretty for anybody. You know, and I though that's one of my chances. Do you know what I mean? I've got 2 chances to do something incredible, and that's, you know, that XQZ battle and the match day battle. I still want to be able to, like, you know, the rest of this year, I just want to like, you know, I just want to stay active. Do you know what I mean? I wanted to, you know, just keep dropping content, man. Like, the one thing I've learned, you know, in music and you know, battling, all these things, doing different creators, is just consistency. I just want to be able to keep dropping content, you know. Like, I want to be able to keep dropping music. I want to be, you know, getting these moments out there for the people to see, you know. Like, it's just about building your portfolio. That's what I'm basically doing, just building my portfolio, you know. But yeah, the XQZ battle and the match day battle, I feel like, are my last 2 chances to, you know, really show something special, you know. That's what it's looking like.
Tickets, of course, available on premierbattles.com. You know, get your tickets now. You get them nice and early. Say hello to Bison if you do go for me.
Hey, Bison.
Yeah, I dapped him up at the Plug 3. he was the only person who was my height. Y'all all tall. All y'all just tall. Like Shuffle T, I met him and thought like he looks like a normal dude. Nah, motherfucker, like 6'2" or some shit. Marlo
Yeah, that's the thing.
looks like the Nightmare Before Christmas dude, like lurching over me. Like I couldn't process how big he was. Like he was huge.
Yeah. I couldn't process how tall Shuffle was as well, because I always thought he was quite like middle height or like shorter.
Yeah, just like normal dude.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's actually crazy.
Madness. But yeah, no. So I guess then the final thing is, where can people find you? What are your socials? Anything you want to plug? Anything you want people to say? Hey man, make sure you pay attention because this is coming. Or like, where can people find you?
The Black Tilo on everything. So the Black TLOWE on Twitter, on Instagram. I have an album out named Max. Like if you type in Tilo, so the Black T is battle rap, Tilo is music. So if you type in Black T looking for music, you're not gonna find it. You know what I mean? It's TLOWE. On Spotify, my album is out, dropped in November. We're working on new music. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
There will be links in the description below, so do not worry if you are interested at all in checking out when this fine young man is going to be battling next, or checking out some of his music. I will do everything. I will endeavor to make it as easy as possible. Before we do any of that, I have to say this has been a fucking brilliant conversation. I can't tell you how excited I was to talk to you, and yet a little nervous because I was maybe it won't fly. 2.5 hours in, I am just in awe of what a talented young man you are, handsome devil that you are, and the fact that, again, I can't tell you what a joy it is to see how much passion you have and how much genuine adoration you have for what you do, but then also that little glint in your eye when you're saying like, yeah, this battle's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Like that's sick. That's fucking awesome. So like from everybody watching and myself, like I've really enjoyed researching and watching some of your stuff. I can't wait to see what you do next, because again, I just think you've got it in droves, just potential to burn, and just this complete unknown in front of you, and yet the fact that you're looking at that unknown and going like, fuck man, let's fucking do this.
Yeah, spearheading, running straight into it. That's how I've lived my life. You know what I mean? Just post my thing, throw my phone, and carry on with life. You know what I mean? Like that's how I live. But like I've appreciated this conversation. This was like, I knew this. I was excited to have an interview with you from the time I saw the Tony one. I was watching all your other interviews, and like I've I love what you do. I love your interview style. I love your personality. I want to do this again. Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
well, if we can convince you to come on again, man, I will. Because again, just a bit behind the scenes for everybody. This didn't run as smoothly as I would normally like it to. There was some technical difficulty on my side, because duh.
But you know what I mean? Like, it was.
I wasn't gonna say that. I was gonna again. I'm trying to put you again. You gotta work the gimmick here, brother. I gotta put you over here a little bit. But listen, man, this has been fucking incredible. And if I can convince you to come back, it's gonna be done in a heartbeat. All I can say though, for the meantime, is thank you so fucking much for taking the time, man. Like, this was insane.
Thank you so much for wanting to even speak to me, and being like, no, for real, fam, for real. Like, thank you so much for even like acknowledging me and considering me to jump on. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have a great platform. You got great. I'm just glad that you felt like you could get one out of me. You know what I mean?